Hi, and welcome to the Saturday Night Sleepover podcast. I'm your host, Charli, and I started this podcast because I'm good at two things. One, making friends, and two, telling stories. So you get to participate in that by listening. Welcome to the Sleepover. It's Saturday night. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Saturday Night Sleepover. I'm your host, Charli, and today we're joined by our co-host, Elena.
Yes.
Because it is the news.
It's the news day.
It is the news day. Happy 2025. How's your 2025 going?
Yeah. It feels the same as 2024. So I guess it's neither good nor bad.
Yes.
So
It's so far, it's neutral.
yes. Neutral, chaotic though.
Yeah, to me, it feels like before Thanksgiving was like 2 days and also 5 years ago.
Yeah. Have you been hit with any of the quadruple and little epidemics going on out there?
I have not. In fact,
Thank goodness.
I traveled to Utah and then I came back for 2 days and traveled to Colorado. And in both places, people were sick with different things. And I didn't get any of the things.
That's good. Yeah, I know. It's been crazy. People with like norovirus, flu, COVID, everything and anything in between that too. So I've had a lot of bronchitis and RSV too.
Yeah.
Grown folks too. So
Yeah.
I have not been hit with that. Our house has been safe so far, but those flu numbers are going up right now in the area. So
wash your hands.
Yeah. Not hand sanitizer either. Wash 'em.
Yes, with soap and water.
Yes. And, well, talking about chaotic neutral, I feel like something that we have all seen on our feeds are the fires in California.
Yes. There are many different sides and like things that you can read. Even when I was researching articles, it was like the fire department was defunded and then the fire department was not defunded. Like it was actually this whole other thing. There's a lot more to it than but like a lot of people are latching on to like a lot of different like flashy news bits.
Well,
according to
you know, I always think it's sad too that these are real people losing everything, and people always want to point and blame someone, right? Oh, well, where's the money? You know, it's like, well, right now there's people who are suffering.
Yeah.
Right. And it's also hard because, you know, I think it's just like that start of the new year. In the news world, content is very low. So you have probably seen hundreds of thousands of stories of so-and-so lost their home, so-and-so had to evacuate, so-and-so, as in a famous celebrity.
Yes.
So it's really putting it into perspective as like, oh my gosh, how big is this fire, right?
Exactly.
And you did some really good research from the California state officials who kind of talk about the about how big this fire is, how many acres have burned, how much is contained, and just kind of like the history of other historical awful fires. So the Palisades fire had started on January 7th of this year. Today is January 16th, and this episode will be going out January 18th.
So this is what we know right now. That the Palisades fire started on the 7th of January, and it has burned 23,000 acres, 23,713 acres. And then the Eaton fire started on the same day and has burned 14,117. And they're both at 21% contained.
Yeah. And, Eaton has now been updated to be 55%.
Oh, okay.
And then the Palisades fire is at 22%. There's also a third one, the Hearst fire, that also started January 7th, but it only burned 799 acres, and it's 98% contained. There's this really awesome graphic that kind of shows why the Palisades fire is so hard to put out, though. because
Tell me about it.
they are up in a hill. It's like a hilly area. So, going up there, it's nearly impossible.
Yeah.
The terrain is awful. Flying over there, even more awful. So I think that's maybe one of the reasons why it's like, okay, it probably feels like this is never going to stop if you're living there and it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah. 2 weeks is kind of a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. To just, and you grew up around?
Well, I didn't grow up around fires. I grew up around hurricanes.
Oof.
So I know about hurricanes from my childhood, but for the last 10 years, I've lived in Utah. And as a person, when I first moved there, I was scared of fires. And I was like, what in the world is going on? How do I protect against this? And as soon as there were any fires near me, I would always put together a fire tote. If we're going to get stuck in a fire, I need to have a change of clothes and things to take with me so that I can go wherever I'm going to go and shelter there. And when I told everybody I had a fire tote, they were like, you're crazy. It's just a fire. It'll be fine.
Oh, no. Fires scare the heck out of me. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. But then whenever I go to Utah and I tell people that we live through tornadoes, they're like, tornadoes. They're freaking out. I'm like, you just go to your safe place, then you're going to either be okay or you won't.
Yeah.
And that's similar to the way that people who live around fires typically look at fires. If you're used to it, it's like, oh, I know what to do in a fire. It's I'm either going to be prepared or not be prepared, and when to expect it to come. You can kind of forecast it a little bit into your area, and so that's my perspective as living as a person who had to get used to fires and tornadoes and hurricanes. It's all in how you prepare for it and how how used to you are of it. And I feel like right now, because we are in the middle of a fire in California, which they are devastating fires, and they've taken out a lot of houses. But are we more connected to this news story because it's happening to celebrities that we feel connected to? Rather than there was another fire, and I looked up the history of the worst fires in California history, and the top one was, let me get my notes where I can see them. The top one was the Campfire Butte in Butte County, which doesn't, I don't know any celebrities that live in Butte County.
Yeah.
But we know a lot of celebrities that live in LA. And it happened in 2018. The cause was power lines. There were 18,804 structures destroyed and 153,336 acres burned.
Perfect.
So the biggest fire that's going on right now is 23,000. So that's an eighth of the size of the fire, the biggest fire in recorded history.
86 people died.
And 86 people died in that fire, in the Butte County one. But I have never heard anybody feel devastated for the Butte County fire, but we do have people devastated for the LA fires. But it's just because we have connections with people that we follow, celebrities, that we can see that their houses are being destroyed. So I just think that that's an interesting perspective to take on the fires, rather than what I'm seeing in my feeds right now, which is usually it feels like it's the worst fire that's ever happened in California history.
Well, I do think a large part of that is the winds, though.
Yes, true.
The Santa Ana winds, they're really strong right now, so it's really hard for them to put it out. I don't know if you've watched any videos of the fires going on in people's neighborhoods, but what happens is there could be a fire that's started and just the little ash that gets carried then lands on someone's palm tree, and then their palm tree is on fire, right? So this is just your normal tree that's in front of your house, in case you don't have palm trees, where you live.
Yes.
And then from there, then your roof can catch on fire, because now you have all of these little embers floating around, and the cycle keeps continuing. And I've seen a lot of community work in California because
Yes.
of this, right? Like lots of neighbors helping neighbors, people getting their hose, making sure like other people who they might not even know. Like I've seen people like say that they talked through a Ring camera to talk to the owner of the house saying, hey, can we climb up on your roof and spray water on it because your palm tree is on fire?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which I think is a very beautiful thing. But it's also hard whenever you're seeing like Kim Kardashian is calling out the mayor, or maybe that was Chloe. Sorry, I saw something like that.
Some celebrity is
Yeah.
calling out some government official.
And like, you know, it's something that's like covered on more easier because these are people that people worship or follow, right? And they have millions of followers, literally. And so some people are kind of like, it doesn't matter. Those people have money.
Yeah.
To start over if they need to, right? But there are lots of people who are being affected that are working class.
Yes. Fires don't
Discriminate.
Yes, that's the word. Fires don't discriminate against whether you have money or not, typically, unless, of course, you have paid for some certain like fancy fire protection or something like that.
There's this journalist I highly, highly suggest. His name is Andrew Callahan. He posts exclusively on YouTube, and he has a channel called Channel 5 News. But he lives out in LA and went, like, you know, boots on the ground and had interviews with working class people. And something that they said that astounded me was, we don't have a fire department.
Wow.
This is the first time we've seen fire trucks in our area because they're helping us, right? But we don't have a fire department. We have to rely on each other.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, coming from Arkansas, there's a fire department for every small little nook and cranny.
Exactly.
You know, a little area that's got 50 people. Maybe it's all volunteer.
True.
But there's at least people, you know, there's at least some funds going somewhere. But, you know, with California, for LA, you know, it's so big. They just fund a couple bigger guys.
Yes.
And then, you know, the smaller towns, because there are smaller towns in California. It's not all big in city.
Yeah, it's not all LA.
Yeah. You know, but I think that really puts it into perspective how influential social media is.
Exactly.
Especially TikTok.
Yes.
And just this week, the Supreme Court can give an announcement on a TikTok ban on whether or not this is against our First Amendment and all of that good stuff. But, you know, I did not use TikTok for the longest time ever.
Yeah.
I was a very big anti-CCP because they always are trying to get into Taiwan and the Uyghurs, and I was very informed with
the goings on of
China.
Yes.
You know, like people can't have, if you have an Apple phone, you can't FaceTime people. China does ban a lot of US based things, and they make their own phones for that reason. You know, I feel like it's very common for other countries to ban certain apps and even electronics from other countries because they are afraid. And for some reason, Americans think that this is the worst thing in the world, which makes sense.
Yeah.
This is the United States of America.
Yeah.
I now have TikTok. I got TikTok last year, and it's pretty great. I've got it. It's so easy to search things on there, like recipes.
Yeah.
Do you use TikTok?
I am a Reels girly.
Okay.
However, my husband is a TikTok person. So I have a TikTok for the show that I barely use. And I mostly only use it so that I can watch the videos that my husband sends me.
Yeah, I think that's what finally got me was I just kept getting these TikTok videos sent to me and I couldn't watch them. And I was like...
they already have all of our information anyway.
Well, this was, so before, I want to say TikTok was not owned by ByteDance. There was a moment where the owners of TikTok were a Chinese company, And then they had to make that switch over to ByteDance, which is the current owners right now.
Yeah.
So that's whenever I felt comfortable downloading TikTok. I was like, well, maybe they're not tied to China. Maybe they could be, but also, what am I? I don't care.
Yeah.
And people on TikTok are really upset with this because they have a looming date of January 19th before the app will not be deleted off of your phone. Did you ever have the game Flappy Bird?
No, I was a Angry Birds girl.
Angry Birds. Okay, so there's this, like, Flappy Bird was like the first of the kind. We had to stay in between the pipes and like tap, tap, tap. It kind of happened like this. If you ever had this game, this is the same thing that's going to happen to TikTok, which is you won't get any updates. You won't get like you might be able to play it, but there's going to be nothing there. So like the feed, there will be nothing there because they have to take out all the servers. All the servers will be gone basically. And they're not allowed to do like software updates and all that fun stuff, but the app itself won't disappear off of your phone. And now Trump is trying to fight for TikTok, and the Trump inauguration date is set for January 20th on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And who knows? I mean, he's right now they're also discussing about putting in some stops in Congress to like extend the time before the app can be banned. Some benefits for this are there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are on TikTok, and that they went down up to DC.
Capitalism, man.
Yeah, money.
If there's a way for capitalism, there's a way for Americans to get behind it.
But that's why Meta's so upset and wants TikTok to be because of money.
Exactly. But also, where's the people protecting our monopoly rights or whatever?
Yeah. But, I never bought anything from TikTok.
I've never bought anything from TikTok
I know
either.
So
my
many
husband
people.
has.
Yeah, has he?
Yeah.
I know so many people who have. I do not. I am like scared to put my credit card information in certain websites. That's one of them.
Yeah. I agree with that. I do get influenced on Instagram Reels to go to Amazon and buy things.
Okay. See, I just don't. I try to shop more small. So like I get influenced to go out to eat on Instagram, and I also get influenced to buy certain things sometimes, but like only if it's a local shop, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But, the influence culture in TikTok, I feel like is very people on TikTok, whenever they post on there and they're reviewing something such as Red Note, which is the new app that they're going to, it really gravitates for people. The algorithm, I feel like, does a great job picking the right people to do ads, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because they the people that do the ads typically understand the algorithm.
And so I feel like that does make it dangerous, because there has been fake Ozempic, vapes that have been sold through TikTok to children, because they're able to find out loopholes for all of that. But Red Note is a Chinese social media app that is kind of like a mix of Pinterest, Instagram. It's like a TikTok.
If it's TikTok, if it's Chinese owned, why is its days not numbered like TikTok's?
And that's what they're saying. People are like, oh, well, it's Chinese owned. Its days are numbered. And then TikTok has been promoting Lemonade. And they're also saying, you guys are all the same company. Well, that's I want to say ByteDance owns Lemonade. I will double check that and put it in the show notes. But Red Note is actually in Mandarin, too. So people are, speaking full-on Chinese on TikTok, saying, what they learned on this app called Red Note, which is also... Red Note is also, the communist book. It's a red book.
Okay.
So it's like an even bigger, flip off to the government.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've seen a bunch of really funny TikToks of people saying, here you go, China. Like, here's all my data. Here's all my data. And, like, screw you, U.S. government. Like, and as someone who understood why TikTok was a threat 5-6 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It is a little scary for me. I'm not going to lie. To see everybody just easily go to China. Oh, okay. And Xi Jinping, their president, is not a very good guy. They took over Hong Kong. There was the Hong Kong protests.
Yep.
India has banned many, many, many Chinese apps. India and China have always been kind of going at it. They hate each other. They're very racist towards each other as well.
Yeah.
And I just think because we just focus a lot on U.S. politics, it can be easy to overlook
the global politics.
And just the influence that the Chinese government does have in their own society. They have a point system there. If you have bad credit, they know what you are buying, and they will, if you're buying things that you cannot afford, they will lower your social credit.
Yeah.
And if you have a low social credit, you can't get certain jobs.
Yep.
You can't get raises. You can't get a car. You can't. It's very strange.
Yeah. It's a very different culture than we have here in America. It's like the only things I am educated a bit on Chinese culture and living in China because I have a sister who lived there for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And
it hasn't always been like that.
Yeah.
There were just lots of cultural changes that happened probably within the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that Chinese people are bad.
Yeah.
But sometimes leadership can be bad. That's something that us Americans can sometimes relate to.
Yeah.
But it is interesting to kind of see this take the streets in the way of an app.
Yeah. And how influenced people are or are not by different political reasons or cultural reasons why people choose to either fully buy in or not.
Yes, but Red Note has become the most downloaded free app on the Apple App Store.
Okay.
And the people who are going in from TikTok are calling themselves TikTok refugees.
Oh my goodness. We should have a side note at this point in time. I think is a good time to do that because today Elena brought her daughter.
Yes.
And so if you hear any noises, that's what's going on. And I'm actually very excited because I love when there's like background kid noises.
And for some really weird reason, she has been knocked out.
Yeah, she's been asleep, but I just heard some stirring. So we'll see. Yeah. Just so you know, here's your heads up.
Yes. If Cece joins, I will let you guys know, but she still looks like she's sleeping.
Yeah.
So
she just turned over or something.
Yeah, she is watching her little hand. And so it's just it's very interesting. And we'll see what happens with this Red Note. I think it also kind of means something to people whenever the government is taking something like an app away.
Yeah. To me it is interesting to think about because there are so many American values that feel like violated in that process, like capitalism, people having jobs on TikTok. It feels like it's violating like your right to work, the right for free speech, like, and to consume what you want to consume in America. That feels like it's not being served with taking away an app, especially when just by having a phone, the way I look at having a phone is like you're just, in order to subscribe to having a phone, you are giving away your data with or without your consent most of the time.
People don't realize that.
People don't realize that. Like when they ask you if you don't want your location tracked, it means nothing. Your location is being tracked anyway.
Yeah. So it is. But I also feel like there's also another line of people who are like, I legit do not care.
Yeah.
Like, what are they going to use this information? I'm a boring person. Mm-hmm. All I do is this and this. I struggle.
Yep.
There's nothing special about me.
And I mean, I don't know. I think if you just subscribe to having a phone, mm-hmm. you're already in that mindset of like, okay, well, you have to accept that people will be watching you mm-hmm. no matter what.
Yeah.
And if you don't accept that, then you're just naive.
Yeah. There's I mean, you literally have to be completely off the grid. But I just advise people to kind of look into the history of China. And if you feel like, oh, well, what are they going to do with my data? The social credit thing is what they ended up doing with that data. Yeah,
that's what they do mm-hmm. in China. And it is a real thing. Different points and things like that. And the way that, if you want me to put my conspiracy hat on, like China, I feel like probably doesn't have the military force that we have. But I feel like with TikTok and like cell phone data use and things like that, they're achieving the same goal of winning over Americans mm-hmm. As they would with a actual physical army. But this way, they're just winning the minds mm-hmm. of Americans.
And if you don't think that's important, elections have been swayed just by data that they have collected on social media from people, specifically on Facebook. People were able to find out what type of minds are more gullible.
Yep.
And what type of information to feed people.
Exactly.
To be able to get them what they wanted.
Yep.
So we've done this in our own culture, so it could be easily repeated anywhere else.
Yep.
So, it's okay to not have an app. It's going to suck. I'm not going to lie. For me.
Yeah.
No more recipes. It was just very easy for me to get recipes, but I will be fine. I actually got a recipe book for Christmas. I mean, like one that I can write my own stuff, because that's typically what I forget. I always forget like what ingredients I put in. Mm-hmm. But I am interested to see how all of this kind of falls out. TikTok does have the does have someone can buy TikTok, but ByteDance is refusing to sell. So we'll kind of see what happens. I have hope that it won't disappear. I truly do.
Yeah.
And then
someone will save the day.
Yeah, we'll see. But try not to go to Red Note. Red Note does scare me. I mean, it's in a completely different language.
Yeah.
It literally is. Like, okay. Do what you want.
This is America. You can do what you want, but maybe look it up first.
Yes. Yeah. Really. Yeah. Do some research. And yeah, sometimes things could be like, oh, you're just you're blowing things out of proportion. It's not really that bad. Really look into what happened to Hong Kong just a few years ago, and some of the changes China has made into their culture. Specifically, like people who live in Hong Kong do not speak Mandarin. They speak a different.
They speak Cantonese.
And now they can no longer speak Cantonese. The government has forced them to all speak Mandarin. Mm-hmm. So seeing people speak Mandarin in the United States really made my heart hurt for people in Hong Kong, because it's like you don't realize how dangerous this could be, in a sense.
Yeah.
And I could be thinking a little bit too much.
No such thing.
And then on some lighter notes.
Yes. So I did research on this one, and my computer logged me out. So hang on. Let me get my notes really quick.
And that's okay. I will introduce you guys to Cielo. Cici. This is not her first time being on a podcast.
Oh, hi, Cece.
This is Cece's maybe third or fourth time being on a podcast. Sometimes she joins me over at District 3. Right, Cece? She's very confused right now.
I went to sleep and we were in the car, and now there's microphones.
She was actually asleep before the car. So
oh,
she was
my goodness. She's been out for a minute.
Yes. Yes. Do you have a good nap, Stinks? She's like, I don't even have socks on. Where am I? Why does my mom look like this?
Okay, so our lighter note that we wanted to end on today is Kate Middleton. She recently came out and said that her cancer is in remission. And here's what we know about it. Kate Middleton announced that she was in remission of cancer. She visited the hospital that treated her, and her first solo appearance since her announcement in January of 2024 that she was having abdominal surgery. She announced her diagnosis in March of 2024 and that she was undergoing chemo in September. She has been attending engagements with the family, and she appears now to be up to solo engagements, but reports that her cancer still affects her, according to the article that I read. And in the article that I read, it said that she had gone to the hospital that she was seen at, and that she was meeting with patients there and just like giving them hope for like their cancer diagnosis. She'd be like, hey, I'm in remission, you can be in remission too.
Oh, that's so great. She's a princess.
Yes,
literally.
She is a princess.
Like, you know, could you imagine going through something tough like that, and an actual princess is there? It also was like very strange how Kate Middleton was hiding this for so long.
Yeah. And well, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of like publicity stuff that we don't exactly know about everything that goes on in celebrities' lives, but obviously they're all going to have a narrative that they want us to hear. But I feel like with this one, it got to a point where it was hard to deny that she was going through something, because like her publicist was using AI to create photos of her, and the AI was not doing a good job, and people started freaking out and thinking that she had gone missing. And so they had to do a whole press release on that. But the narrative that they're pushing out there now is that she's in remission. Yay. And so that's something to be excited about, and is a much nicer note than
yes,
China's coming to take us all.
Yeah. Yes. Kate Middleton, I just, she's a mom too, and I can't imagine how hard it is, and to hear that she's in remission and that she is out there giving smiles to other people is, a beautiful thing, because going through something like that can be very, very hard. Yeah,
for sure. So that's all the news points we had. Is there anything else that we wanted to talk about that we didn't get to?
There's a lot of news. We also had Biden said his farewell to the United States just last night, where he kind of warned about an oligarchy happening.
Do we think it's China?
I mean, you've got Musk. I think what is important to look at as an American is who owns what you're reading.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos had bought out the Washington Post. The Post, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of strange. I feel like that's a big red flag.
Yeah.
And then Musk owns Twitter.
Yes.
Which is also a red flag. Zuckerberg, he's weird.
My coworker is convinced that he's a robot.
Yeah. I could see that. He just finally learned how to join society, because now he's dressed nice. And he's not as pale.
Don't shadow ban this podcast to the algorithm. We love you, Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes, Mark Zuckerberg. It's there are all these people who are influencing politics.
Yes.
And
in a way that I feel like is pretty unprecedented.
Yeah. So, and it could be a good thing.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. Call us back in a year and we'll let you know.
Yeah. But, so, I haven't had the chance to listen to his farewell note that he left. I have seen some bits of it. I think like that final bit. But Bernie Sanders said something along the same line already. And I think that there is a real class issue in the United States. And hopefully our leaders really take that into account, especially, I know times can be really hard for people right now affording anything. But in reality, in different areas around the world, they're going through recessions that are awful. People really can't afford anything there. Like, America's doing really good.
Our economy is not great, but it's not the worst.
Yes. And I think no matter what, you should always be proud to be an American, in that things will always work through. Mm-hmm. We shouldn't be too scared about all of everything that's going on, even though it feels like the world is on fire.
Yes, it does, because the news is telling us that the world is on fire.
Yeah. I'm just grateful for you guys for joining in. Don't be scared to let us know if you disagree or agree.
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
Spotify, leave some comments and
leave some comments and go follow Elena on District 3 podcasts as well as this one.
Yes.
Because District 3, if you like this podcast, you'll probably like District 3 too.
Yeah. And Cece did a great job. She's eating her strawberries and raspberries.
I'm so proud of Cece. I almost wish that, like, I actually do wish that she would have made more noise.
I'm really before this, there was a pretty loud setup. We were trying to figure out a lot of things. I thought that would have woken her up.
So we use Fayetteville Public Library to record, and they have this like newer editing bay that I love to use. It's my new favorite thing to use. And I am just not familiar with the software that they have in here. And so every single time I have to like panic and get a librarian and be like, please tell me what button to click. And this time, my regular librarian that I ask, shout out Harrison, was not available to help me. So they sent 2 different people in to come and help me. And eventually we got it figured out. But here we are. And, and then once we got it figured out, I wanted to figure out a way to do some video clips for social media. And so we started ripping things apart in here. It was not good.
Ripping everything apart, forgetting that we have literal resources.
Yeah, we could definitely. The answer was easy the whole time. All it was is, hey, can we use a tripod? And they were like, of course, have at it. The closet's open. And I was like, great, love you. We're gonna take that now.
Yes, but it was a fun day today, and I hope you guys enjoy your Saturday.
Yes, happy Saturday. I think that's it. Like, share, follow, do all the things. And, have a good day. Love you. Bye.